let me open up the police subcommittee meeting, call it to order, and let me ask if anybody has taken the meeting. Just really, 3 p.m. All right, so at this time, on the agenda is approval of minutes. Oh, it is, Ben. And we don't have any minutes in front of us. My understanding is Tim is backlogged right now, but I'll make sure that he gets them out. But I'll also make sure that he gets them out to you, Tina,
Okay.
and to you guys, all right? And I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. We're going to do an update on the budget of what we talked about last time. I'm going to turn it over to Andy for now, and just I think we're going to double team what we discussed with the estimate, but I'll let you start, Andy. It's your estimate, so.
Sure. So we met 2 weeks ago. The information you have in front of you is the same information from 2 weeks ago. Everybody has a copy on these 1117s of the schematic design floor plans, both the ground level and the attic level, and a copy of the front end of the schematic design estimate. So we had gotten the schematic design to a point where we went to estimate, and at last meeting we presented you with an estimate for the construction, and then a project estimate that Pomeroy put together.
Which I have an update one today. That's in the elevator.
Adds the other soft cost to it. So the good news is that you've had 2 weeks now to look it over if it was circulated. So you're not coming in cold like you were last time. So I can go through it all again, or we can go to questions, or
Perhaps a recap from last
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
Maybe just go down to summary or something, hit the highlight.
So the estimate that you have here is based on these schematic floor plans that you have in front of you with the 1117. The first few pages of the estimate just gives the project description and the particulars and the assumptions. There's no real need to go through those unless anybody has any questions about those in the introduction. The estimate also, and I didn't put this in the packet, had priced 3 alternates. Alternate 1 being the cruiser port, alternate 2 being the solar panels, and alternate 3 is the auxiliary building, which is not needed if we choose to incorporate it into the attic design. But we've carried that along with the schematic, so we have a comparison between an outbuilding and one in the attic. So then the next page gives a breakdown. The first, I'm on page 4, and it's the main summary. So the first line item is the building itself. The building is, the cost is based on 17,315 gross square feet. So let's look at the floor plan so everybody understands the square footage. The ground level is exactly 12,993 square feet. If everybody looks at the ground level. Yeah, so that's, that includes the gross square footage to the outside of walls, including everything but the optional cruiser port, which we're showing a 6 cruiser port on this scheme at 2,200 square feet. That was priced as an alternate. You got the main building and the back wing, the south wing that houses the sally port and prisoner processing and cells. So that's 12,993. So now if we go to the attic level, the finished program spaces in the attic level is 3,287. So if we add that to roughly 13, that's going to bring you to about 16,287. Then also up here is auxiliary and impound area, which would take place over the Sallyport and prisoner processing area on concrete plank. That's another 1,000 square feet. So if you add 3,287 and 1,035 to 12,993, you would come up with the 17,315. And that's what's carried over onto the sheet. So that 17,315 includes the auxiliary area that would be used for vehicle impound, vehicle storage, things of that nature. Then Prices and Alternate is a 20 by 30 auxiliary building, detached from the building, which we can talk about after. So that's how we get our square footage. And so the base building construction costs at $331 a square foot is that $5,734,785. Then below that is the site work. The site work's broken out separate from the building. That's $1,738,032 and $32. $1,738,032. It's about $100 a square foot. That's high. Unfortunately, we have some factors on the site that are going to make it a relatively expensive site to develop. Topography, the fact that we need a well, we need septic, drainage, we need just about everything. We're going to need a fire pump. So that's reflected in that number. So the trade cost subtotal is $7,472,817, or $430 a square foot. Then the next line item is a design and pricing contingency of 10%, which is carried at this level of schematic design. That's basically, the design is not 100% at this point. So we're carrying a 10% contingency to anticipate things that come up in design development that could result in a price increase. So that's to cover that. So the trade costs after adding those in is $8,220,117. Then on top of that is markups on trade costs, on the trade cost subtotal. General conditions and project requirements. If the project is projected to take 16 months at $39,000 a month, that's $624,000. General conditions and project requirements, another $110,600. Insurance, $58,200. I did?
Yeah, so insurance is 110.6.
Yeah, okay, and then bonds is $58,200. This estimate assumes that the permit fee would be waived. And the 3%, that'd be the owner's project manager's fee, I believe.
No, that's the general contractor.
No, you're no contractor.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
that's the
GC.
$246,600. So the estimate construction cost subtotal, $9,259,517,000. The next line item would be 2.6% escalation, considering that the price could go up by that amount by the summer of 2018, which is when we'd hope for construction, and that'd be another $240,600. And that's how we come up with the total, including extra escalation of $9,500,117. That's the construction cost. And then Pomeroy then takes it and adds project costs to it.
Yeah, we made one modification to this. I'm going to pass those around. Since the last time you saw this, but the owner's development costs you see here are placeholders for now. We haven't gone out to bid for radios or security or anything like that. So they're, typically what we're seeing in the industry right now for these costs. Some of them, I'd have to say, are erring on the side of caution, so they're probably a little bit on the higher end. But you're running roughly around 20% of your construction costs, and that's what we usually see our soft costs fall, in that 20% range. The one modification we did make to this is line 44, and we added in an elevator. Now, looking at the drawings and keeping it in mind that we do have operations on that second floor, we feel that an elevator might be necessary. And we're not positive about that yet. We still have to meet with the access board, but it's in there as a placeholder right now, just in case. We're building the space in there, but they may require us to have an elevator. This just happened to us in Wellfleet. We actually went through the same process where we had functions upstairs that weren't necessarily even program spaces, but they made us put one in. So this is erring on the side of caution right now. So if you look at the total construction costs that our dataless estimate has at the 9.5, our total development costs down the bottom there, just over 2 million. And a lot of these items may not be used. If you look, there's about 100,000 of CGA allowances in there, and those are costs that are in CGA's contract, but we might not necessarily use them. And again, we have to figure out, if you look at item 33, the communication equipment and radios, I have that on the higher end right now. We may need a tower. That tower could be 50 to 100 grand. So I'm carrying a bigger number there right now. So hopefully we start to plug these numbers in and they'll start to come down over time, but right now it's more to be safe. And then you get a subtotal at the bottom, line 41, and then again we take a 10% contingency, and that's being safe right now on that number, and that brings us to the grand total below, with the elevator, of just below 13 million, 12.8. I know that's a lot to dig into right now, but is there any questions off the top?
So with that, right now we have a 20% contingency.
Correct. We have two contingencies right now, a design and pricing contingency, which we would like to bring down to probably 5% once we get to DD, and sooner or later that gets zeroed out once we get to construction documents. And then owner's contingency, we recommend going out to bid with at least a 5% contingency. As we start to figure out our soft costs and we know where we really are, we can start to reduce those contingencies. But right now it's really to be safe. So to be honest, over the past few days, us and CGA have had a lot of long conversations on the phone about this estimate, and I still don't think we're at a point where we all feel comfortable with it. I think we're at a point where it could honestly go up and it could go down. I don't think we're at a point where we could say we recommend going public with it at say a town meeting or something like that. We need some more time to really go through it. But that being said, we wanted to talk tonight because we wanted to get kind of a temperature of the water. And right now we're at that 12.8 number. And really what the architect needs is some direction to move into design development. And we can do that one or two ways. If that number seems outrageous, or if it's something you weren't expecting, we need to start looking at ways to cut back square footage to bring this price down. That's how are you going to save money? The quickest way is cutting square footage. Or if it's in the ballpark that people were expecting, and we still could make some alterations to it, we could approve the architect to move forward into DD, but we're going to be looking at ways to save money. So I think the idea is to bring that number down. We're not going to go all in, but just kind of wanted to get a feel of the committee's feelings on it, or what they thought of that bottom line number right now. Don't mean to put you on the spot,
Right?
but yeah.
Well, I think last time I said the price didn't shock me until you added the 120, and then, you can only say it's 120, but it actually, 12.7 sounds a lot better than 12.8.
It does, and like I said, I think if I went through this, Dan and I put these numbers together for the owner's development costs, and on some I recommended less, Dan recommended more, and vice versa. So I think there's going to be a decent amount of money that ends up coming out of those numbers when we finally get down to them. Is it going to be 120 grand? I don't know, but I think we're on the higher end for most of these. Material testing you know, probably at the end of the day, it's gonna be 25 grand. That's something, you know, gets put back into the contingency during the project, so it's
Right,
it's
so I
tough
have
to
a
say.
couple of questions.
Okay.
First, that number's not gonna fly. One of the things that we had talked about, briefly, with the board was possibly taking 2 mil out of our capital stabilization and bringing this number down to 10.
Okay.
Okay, so, but that would still mean that you're still 867, 224 above where we should be. So I think that, do I think a doable number to sell this is around 10? Yeah, I think 9.5 sounds a heck of a lot better, but I'm not really sure if we can get to that. So, this is just me outside talking.
Sure, yep.
Okay?
No, this is good.
So, but our goal is to take 2 mil out of capital stabilization to offset this before we go to the taxpayers. But that doesn't mean that we take it off the 12.8, because I don't think, again, I don't think it's gonna fly. Number 2, is it, and this is, again, thinking somewhere else, you know, what's driving this cost for me is not so much the program and the area inside the police station, but it's really the site.
Correct.
So now, like, do we rethink our site? Do we go back to looking at the present police station area?
We ran a quick comparison to Lakeville. Lakeville's site, if anybody knows where that's going, it's the Ted Williams Camp entrance. It's going right to the left of that. It's flat land, nothing's ever been developed there.
They have water.
Yeah, they have water. Well, we're actually running a water line to it, which is about 250 grand that we're carrying for that. But that site is 1.2.
They're not sure.
No.
It's 1.2.
1.2, and at this site, we're running, 2.1. So there really is, some additional cost in that site because of the slope, because of the retaining walls we have to put there. There is a premium, sure, with that site, absolutely.
So that's my second question.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, that you proposed perhaps exploring an alternative location. I don't think the existing police site would be able to accommodate a building like this, plus the necessary parking for 70 people to attend. But I do recall very early on that Jack was looking at different pieces of property across, actually, I think it was one in particular, across from the fire station.
Yeah, it's wet.
Okay, that would
Yeah,
that would
it's
have
wet.
been good.
Completely.
I think there's only, what was
It was
only
very small, after you
yeah.
took out the wetlands, it was very small.
There's some endangered species too that were in play there as well. It was yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, I never.
Yeah, it was pretty comical.
Yeah, it was wet, so that's why we took that off the back burner. It wasn't doable.
The nice part about this design is the future expansion.
There's a lot of pros about this design. The thing is that it needs to be sold in the right way.
Sure.
And it needs to be doable. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna wanna take a $400 hit on their taxes. I can't say what's,
Yeah, where I was going with that was, I'm not the architect, but you guys can tell me if this is doable or not, but the program space that you need, you may be able to still accomplish that without the build-out, in your attic space. If we went to flat roofs up top or, didn't propose all that additional framing, for that roof and, we're building program space. You don't have too much of that extra space. I don't know if you can get to that $10 million number.
yeah, I just assumed that. That's not what it is. It's chicken right now.
One public.
On a 300.
Well, that's,
20 years.
that's a very important piece to this, that you need to be able to defend this and to be able to get the support that you need to move forward. We're here to develop a design that meets your program, fits the site, and is also affordable. cost effective.
So 10 million's our, we need to be below that.
And that's kind of what we need to know, that's what we needed to hear, like, that there is a budget here that you're trying to stay within, and we would have to just go back and take a harder look, closer look at this
I'm one
design.
person.
No, but
Yeah.
we,
So please,
think-
everybody chime in.
A
Well-
while back when I was still on the board, I had computed it out, not only for this project, but there was something else I was actually using the spreadsheet for. But at $8.5 million, it was like $300 and something on the average household, based on the current tax rate. So-
I have it.
Do you have it? Huh?
Yeah, let me just.
I know, I got the spreadsheet up, I put it together, I got the figures, the costing from, the assessor's office, but that was like 8, 9 months ago.
So on a $10 million loan for 20 years would be an average of $200 on the tax bill. And for 12 million, it would be 240 on the tax bill. At the highest.
for an average,
It goes, it's, I can't give you an average. It starts off, for 20 years, it starts off at 240 and goes down to 139.
I mean, on the average assessed value
Oh,
of the
yeah,
property.
yes. Yes. And that would be a $312,000 home. And that's the average home prices.
Okay.
I'll forward this to everybody, tomorrow.
The price per square foot is based on this particular building. Is that roughly similar to what other police stations are costing per square
So
foot?
that was interesting, we did some on that, and we were on the low end
They are on the lower
as the building construction.
Okay.
So, the reason we did that is, you could really only look at two things. We would have to decrease square footage, or look to a different site to get the number down. The building came in around 413, which is on the low end right now of police construction.
Yeah, we just, when we were looking at it, we felt that number should probably be a little higher. This is a professional estimator, so we're not professional estimators, but, again, we just looked at it against Lakeville, which we felt had a more simple roof line. And so we felt this would be a little bit more costly to construct, just based on, the roof lines, and it's coming in lower. We were expecting it to see it a little higher. So that's what, when we're still kind of in the midst of going through this with CGA, because there's things that, we see and CGA sees that we need to, agree on. We even talked about today the possibility of looking at a one-story option again.
You mean lowering the roof line,
Well-
taking all that program so we can put it.
Well, the problem with the one story is
Yeah.
the cost's gonna go up.
Right.
It's not gonna go down.
No.
So I don't see, it's not worth looking at a one-story measure if we're looking to reduce cost. We're gonna be adding 2,000 square feet plus to our ground level.
The way we looked at it was if you're looking to get square feet out, your additional square feet that you can get out easily, if you go to a one-story design, is your stair in the middle, from floor to floor, your future elevator area, your future elevator machine room. There's square footage that gets eaten up by all of those, that could certainly be,
Yeah, but it nets out at over 2,000 square feet.
Well, your contingency is still high, and we don't know where that's going, right? So if our goal was to cut out, first of all, we don't know about the elevator, so there's $120,000 right there, right?
Sure.
So let's just go back to let's just be on the safe side and add the elevator in. So if our goal is to cut out $867,000, if that's our goal, part of that is gonna be from the contingency on both ends, correct?
Yeah, I think you could make that work.
So really, our goal would be to cut out about $500,000 somewhere along the line.
Sure.
No, Dan?
Well, you're
cringing.
talking, because you're talking about the design contingency, the design and pricing contingency, which is tied to the estimate itself. So yes, if we're able to bring the construction cost down, then that goes down with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not arbitrary that we
Right.
just knock it down. And then your owner contingency, you know, that's really more of a, an allowance to make sure that you're protected
Exactly.
all the way through the
In
process.
case of
So,
overruns or
Change
changes,
orders, yeah,
change
right.
orders
You
and
absolutely
things
need
like
one,
that.
you know.
Absolutely.
and some of these other things are tied to their, you know, tied to the cost of the construction as well, like including all the contractor mock-ups, so that'll go down a little bit. And then there's a few in here, as Taylor mentioned, that we could take a closer look at. Like, we know that, I think like, for example, it's a small number, but wetlands delineation's already been done. But we were asked to carry it as an allowance, just in case you needed us to do it. So we can clean up some of those things.
Right, so
Sure.
But
11.
the building itself is definitely gonna have to be targeted to look at how it can become more efficient and more cost-effective to construct.
Yeah, but we're at 14,413 already. I don't think that, that's gonna happen. I think we need to look at the square footage.
That's what I mean, yeah, the building itself, like the program, size of the building, even maybe how some things are, I mean, there's a.
I think we should go around the room and ask everybody. So what's that then?
Well, I agree that when you're trying to sell a number less than 10 million, I think it has a much better ring to it. It makes a lot of sense. It's unfortunate that we're locked into that piece of property, because it seems like what I see in the building is very reasonably priced in and of itself. So I don't know what you're gonna have to do to knock that down, but yeah, I agree that it's gonna be, however you find, like $500,000 or so. Of course, and then if we get lucky with some of these contingencies not being eaten up, that would go a long way in and of itself.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But that's my thought.
So did you want to look at cutting, I guess the question to the whole committee would be, are you looking to cut the square footage of the building at this time? Go ahead, Mark, you're next.
I got a couple of questions first.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't think we're there yet. We're close, but I don't think we're there yet. We're gonna figure out if we're gonna have the elevator, that we gotta put that in. That's a big chunk of change that we sort of weren't planning on. I missed one meeting here, so I was eating lobster while you guys.
No,
were
it wasn't
discussing.
that, this is new to me.
It just came up this week,
Yeah,
this
we-
came up today.
This came up on
Press.
a phone conversation today.
Okay.
Today, yes, and we're looking into that.
That's a big one. Now, as far as the site goes, have we got all the site work, initial site work and anything done so we know if we're gonna face any problems?
No,
yet?
that's another big one too.
Okay,
Yeah, we haven't done geotech work out there.
okay, that was gonna be my next thing.
Yeah.
Because we may easily find something that's gonna make this even
Sure.
less appealing to
Sure.
us as a site. And I think we need to know that before we start
Absolutely.
making decisions of cutting square footage and things like that. We need to know what we're facing first, and we don't have all of that yet.
Carlton?
You know, when I look at the plan, there's probably a couple of rooms you could eliminate, but what are you looking at? 100, 200 square feet? I mean,
Well, if there's areas that could be tightened up, I think it's
I don't see any significant.
for the better of the project.
I'm looking at this, I don't think anything in here is unreasonable. I think that it meets the mission and, you know, I don't see any real fluff or anything like that. So, I mean, I thought the price came in pretty much near what I had anticipated. But I was surprised at the cost of preparing the site.
That's the thing too, is looking at this, if we are to stay on that site, the site is the site. You know, we know there's a premium to it, so like, you were saying before, to get some money out of this, cutting square footage is your first way of really doing it. We can look at some VE items, you know, maybe some aesthetic things, maybe changing the siding, things like that, but the quickest way is to take square footage out.
Can I just ask one more question? I was thinking, if we're forced to put an elevator in, this is to you, if we're forced to put an elevator in, you need to cut back on the footprint, like, does that add flexibility to you to move some of the stuff upstairs now? That's something we avoided to put upstairs before, does that help things in a way?
Well, to follow up on that, if we're forced to put that elevator in, would it make sense to now move? You wouldn't want the line functions on the second, administrative on the second floor, and the footprint shrink?
That's what Norwell did. They put all their administration on the top floor.
And how much would that affect the?
Norton has that too.
Yeah.
Well, let's see, say you shrunk your,
So I'm
Well, you got all
I'm
that
picking on
space up.
administrative because it makes more sense to have your line functions on the first floor.
Right.
Guys are running out to the car and
In
stuff
and
going
out.
on. So if you took that whole administrative block and moved it to the second floor because of the elevator, you know, I mean, what would we be looking at in terms of shrinking the footprint?
so if you could get, if you could move 2,000 square feet upstairs, and it looks like it, it brings the square foot price down by about $200 a square foot. So, you'd definitely be over $500,000 savings, I would think. If we could truly cut, say 2,000 square feet off the first floor.
Just throwing it out there.
It's not a bad idea.
No. Detectives, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, there's no reason why they couldn't.
Right, detectives, all of this.
Make sure you put in there the gym.
But
I didn't mention
I think
it,
it's
Jim.
set up.
I got these two guys.
Would have been a space up there.
Charlie?
Well,
Maybe it's
the elevator
for the chair.
is a cost of $120,000, right? I think that might, the suggestion putting
Almost
some
10,000
on a
square
second
feet.
floor and having it operate might be a very good
Mm-hmm.
way of getting around things. You know, the person, from what I heard, I mean, yeah, $120,000 for an elevator is a lot of money, but from what I was first hearing, I thought that, I think that that's a reasonable price, reasonable way of solving the problem, okay? It's not like the elevator's $500,000.
Right.
Probably going to save considerable amount of money. And I'm wondering if, when we really work on some of this, if there aren't some things that we might be able to put upstairs, not just beyond on the administration. I'm wondering if maybe like, say, the armory or something like that might be able to be going.
Well, you might be able to pull the detectives up there too.
I think the detectives could definitely go up there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's right.
Now you got this whole.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
whole
you
right-hand
got it,
side,
it's gone.
you might be able to fit in this future build-out area.
And we have almost 4,000 square feet.
Yeah, so it's
available there,
area that you were gonna build anyway.
Which still some potential
Yeah.
build out.
You have the
Kinda
same
makes a lot of
functionality.
sense.
Well, if you, like, I know a lot of this is driven by avoiding the elevator.
For $120,000.
You have it,
Exactly.
I mean, I just don't see $120,000 for an elevator as being earth-shaking.
No, because you're already building half of what an elevator would cost anyway, by building the 2 rooms,
Have
you
them
know.
do their clean here.
You move the stuff upstairs,
Leave
like
this
this,
beyond
you
this,
just,
and I can store ammo in
you're
here.
still having the same functionality of the building.
Oh, yeah.
So that's funny. But Mark made a very good point earlier. How long will it take us to know if there's anything that you're gonna find in that site that's
Well,
gonna
wanna
Yes.
bring an update on that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so since we met last, I spoke with the Board of Health, I spoke with Chuck, and I spoke with our geotechnical engineer. So, the person with the longest lead time was the geotech engineer. He said he can get out there in 2 weeks from the time I tell him go. And the way we priced his fee was we priced it in 2 phases. Phase 1 was test pits, like we would do, and then phase 2 is borings with a rig. I spoke with the new Board of Health agent, and he suggested, look, if we're gonna go and do test pits, he thinks we should just make it a perk test at the same time, which is smart. And he said, he only needs 3 days' notice. So, then Chuck says, oh, we can do whatever you need. Says we got a backhoe, we can get it done, and he's not even too worried about the trees.
No,
He said he could-
bulldoze them over.
Yeah, so,
Chuck will get it done.
Oh, my God.
It's a pretty wooded site.
Chuck's got some paving to do, I think, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're gonna meet a week from today on the site, with a plan.
Okay.
And
We
then
need to
we'll-
flag the trees, you want to say.
Yeah, so we'll
Oh, trust me.
assess what, you know, we certainly, we're gonna have to hit the leach field if we wanna make it a perk test.
Yeah.
We'll have to hit the reserve area, and then we'll wanna hit, areas of the building that we know where footings are going. And that's gonna tell a lot. We're gonna learn our water table, and if there's a purged water table. The geotech's gonna tell us what kind of, soil we're up against for bearing. We'll have our perk test, everything. So, that could be in about 2 weeks.
So you're gonna try to get the geotech out, you'll give him maybe the heads up tomorrow?
Yeah, if we decide tonight that we wanna do these tests, I'll get on the phone tomorrow and set this up for about 2 weeks from today.
I think, go ahead, Paul.
Those tests are gonna be done no matter what we do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
needed.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's already in our fee, we had it as an allowance in our fee, so, I'll just going over anything.
Right.
So back to Mark's point then, I don't think that any of us are really ready to make a decision until we exactly know what's going on with the land.
To me, the water table is
Once we
huge.
know exactly what we need to do.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
But I think, you know, Carlton's suggestion is a possibility to think about, and I know Norton has their administrative upstairs, and there's some pros and cons. I think it'd be good to talk to people who have done that. You said Norwell has done that,
Yeah.
maybe Carlton, if you talked to them.
Well, Somerset has its administrative, and then the detectives on the second floor. They don't seem to have any problems. I mean, in terms of people visiting, elderly people, et cetera, I mean, if you have the elevator, that's the solution, you know? I mean, we can come down and meet with people as well. We have the resources in this plan to do that. So I think interaction with visitors and the public won't be a problem. I think in some ways it's nice to have the administration a little bit divorced from all the activity that would occur on the first floor. And the detectives are independent. I say that, but, you know, it'd be at the roll call in the morning and stuff like that to glean and share any information, but they're kind of solitary creatures, huh, Charlie?
It can't be.
So I think that would work.
The only person I see really being put out is the person in Debbie's position.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, well, we've identified that as a.
You get one of those air tubes from your office.
That's right.
Laundry chute.
That's right.
I think if you get the cost into the $9 million range after the $2 million is taken away,
I
I
agree.
think you got a damn good shot at
I
it.
agree.
I think it's gotta be, well, you say 9, I say 10, but.
Well, I mean, just under 10,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. I'm not saying 9, I'm
I
saying
think that you.
below 10.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, and I think that from what I've seen from the board members, they're really focused on having this community room, and I think that's a big selling point
I
when you're
think it is
talking
for the
about
town.
planning board and selectmen and, you know, all these other boards for a place to meet and have parking and all of that, so.
That's part of the reason why the cost for the
Yeah,
station
yeah,
is up.
yeah, that's right.
You can sell it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that training and meeting room is twice the size the one Lakeville's doing. And there's a cost to it, absolutely. This is a very healthy conversation, though. I think we needed to know
Yeah.
where we were heading, and I think if there is gonna be, you know, a 2 million, you know, reserve, you know, if we take that out of the budget we're at now, I think, you know, maybe we talk about the second floor, adding some functions up there. But I think that's a number we can work to get below that 10 number, knowing that, we have that too. I think it's something that can be done. It's not
I don't think it's that far off.
no, it's not.
I don't think so either.
It would be if we didn't have the.
If you didn't have the two,
Yeah, it would be a
different.
lot
We
of
would have
cutting.
it a different conversation.
Absolutely, but knowing we have that, I think this is a number we can absolutely work to.
But somebody will stand up at the town meeting and say, well, that was our tax dollars that were in the stabilization.
Yeah,
Somebody
I
will
would
say
say
it.
that it's going to good use.
That's right.
Everybody has an opinion, as they say.
There you go. I can just see, I can tell you who it's gonna be.
You and I
But you know,
both.
they're going to compare it to what,
May not want
you know,
to.
what
I'm
other
wondering if we
towns,
hold off.
police
Yeah, why
stations
not?
are costing.
Maybe a good idea.
And wait until, yeah.
So it's good for us to know what the cost is going to be, in the area, because they're going to compare them.
Oh, of course.
So, have a comparison, are we higher, are we lower, are we in the mid, where are we, and they're gonna compare to Lakeville and.
Well, absolutely, it's gonna
Dayton.
happen, yeah.
Well, but on that vein, if we had to go out and purchase land, instead of the costs that may be incurred in this land,
We can explain that,
Yeah,
but we need to
it's-
be not too far off.
it's probably not gonna, let's face it.
If we wanted to sell,
Yeah, it's not gonna be that far off from the costs that we're gonna have to incur on the land if we had to go out and purchase land. Again, where would that land be?
Right, and if the person doesn't wanna sell it now, what are we gonna do, eminent domain, we'll be in the court for
Yeah,
a
it's just.
few years,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think even that, people who might criticize, well, when they know that this is town land that we're using, that we already have, it's gonna be a little bit easier to, and we're gonna have to go out and buy some land or something like that.
Well, I think the decision we make tonight is if we test out there. And then, if we come back with a high water table and a bad perk, then
Then,
maybe we really.
It's a different conversation.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because the high water table is really gonna equate to some costs.
I think so.
Because we'll have to do some dewatering and we'll have to raise.
The foundation
Fill.
also have to come up, yeah.
Yeah, so.
yeah, and I don't wanna create future problems, a high water table, so I'd rather let's just wait,
Figure it out.
yeah. So, can I have a motion for them to move forward, with the
Motion,
geotech
yeah.
and the borings and the test pit?
Second.
Motion.
All in favor?
I'll get on the phone tomorrow,
Great.
and I'll meet,
See if we can push Majid a little bit.
I'll meet Chuck on Thursday. Well, I don't think we really have to, if Chuck can't really meet till Thursday, and we won't get rolling until the beginning of the week.
Okay, he's gonna go through there and clear it out a
Yeah,
little bit.
so Majid will be perfect.
All right, good. Yeah.
What about having CGA look at administration and detectives upstairs? That's something we
He
want
wants to start exploring that.
It wouldn't hurt.
I
I
think
don't
that would
want-
be a really good idea.
I think everybody's first option is keeping this.
Mhm.
Right, so I think that an option B would be to move some of the stuff from downstairs upstairs, but I think that our first preference
would be the plan we have now.
Why don't we
Okay.
stay with this now and not do it until we know what we're.
Yeah, it might just be a good thing they can start taking a look
Yeah,
at,
they
not
look at
it.
not necessarily,
Take a look at it,
not draw out,
Yeah, I wouldn't go
thinking about
crazy.
levels,
And also
just
as
to
a
see
safety
how it
measure.
actually
Because
works.
if we do get blindsided by
By the
A,
way,
B,
and then it's all-
and they say, listen, you need
Right.
the elevator, then we might have another option.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or if you can't build here at all, then it
That's
would
the
be wasted time too, so.
Okay.
Got a piece of land on High
Not
Street.
really, 'cause this building could be somewhere else.
Didn't we just give some land away to conservation?
No, it's all,
Okay.
all that, yeah, all that. I don't know.
Just floating stuff.
Floating
That's
police
why there's
station.
nothing
Yeah,
on
floating
it.
police
There
station.
is, there's a boat.
So the other thing I had was,
Anything else? Go
I
ahead.
I made a draft of the poster you asked for.
Yes.
Now, you have to decide first if you're gonna use it,
Yes,
and if you are, this is the size I propose, and this of course would be done in color with a better resolution, and I'd add more trees and people and cars, but
is everybody good with having that for Monday night at the town meeting?
Now, here's my other question, and I would love to come, I'm not trying to dodge not being there, but because we may be moving in a different direction, do we want to put off our presentation
I don't think we're gonna do a presentation, I
Okay.
think there's
Just
no
sit it on an easel?
presentation.
Just a
I think
board?
we're just gonna have this on an easel.
Oh, okay, so we don't need to be there.
At least let people know that, no one needs to be there.
Oh, okay.
At least, well, Andy should be there, cause he's a town resident, and I'm sure
He'll be voting.
vote at town meeting.
I thought,
We're gonna be watching how he votes.
yeah, I thought you were scheduling us
You know
for
that
a Board of
radio
Selectmen's
thing?
meeting. Maybe I had it in my
Yeah.
calendar,
Oh,
but
you guys are doing the study?
maybe not. For the radio. So anyway, if there isn't one, then I think that's better, because I'd rather be,
Yes, no.
I'd rather be confident which way we're moving
Yeah.
before we
Yeah,
sit
you
down.
can't really give any answers anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, good.
But maybe just something like, this is what we're working on,
Yeah.
you know, future plans, or some tagline on that,
Yeah,
so we
and
can
that's,
put that out.
you were talking about getting that, put it on there, some kind of
Mhm.
slogan, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I think that's fine. It gives people an idea of what's, coming down the
Artist
road.
conception, possible buildings.
Oh, no, what did Lakeville use? Back the blue. Back the blue, isn't that what they used?
Yeah.
As they were going for the actual votes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
You need
we're
to-
not
You need
ready.
to soften it up.
We're
Yeah,
not
it's
ready
a
there, and I
process,
don't wanna
right.
follow,
Mm.
sorry.
This is just to give people a kind of an update of.
Just inform them
Yeah,
that you
I
have
just,
have
this
something
is
going on.
what we're working on, you know,
Okay.
something simple, just because people don't really know, so, where we're at right now.
I'm glad I asked, not that I don't want to go to your town meeting.
No, way too early for that, way too early, we're gonna be talking
Is there
marijuana.
anything missing on there?
Do you want me to
that
call
guys
police
want?
station concept?
Conceptual,
Mhm.
proposed. Are there other names or people that need to be listed on there from, well, we put us on there, but I'm sure Pomeroy would like to have their name on there, and then, I don't know if there's anybody else on there that may be missing from,
Do you want the police station committee on there, in case anybody has questions, they can ask us? They
and
can
if you have a
reach out to us?
and if you have a website, it'd be good to have a website link on there as well, that
Okay.
people can reach out and, I mean, it's marketing, it's really
Right,
just informing
absolutely.
people, here's how, if you want more information, in fact, maybe that should be said.
Maybe check out the Freetown Police Station.
Yeah, I'll just be our
Facebook page.
The logo.
Put it on.
logo and
Yeah.
address, yeah. I can say.
You know, Get it to it, we can
We
put it
can
on.
put that on there though too. Like, check out.
First thing people are gonna say when they come in, I didn't know anything about this.
Exactly.
Yep.
I didn't know anything
That's
about
why you
this.
need to
I
break
work
the
in
ice
police
now.
station.
Yeah,
you can do
exactly.
So that
It's
way
just
when
a
you
sl-
do
say,
go,
right,
you
I
have
think you need
to-
to say, this is what the building committee's been, you know,
Right. This is
working
what we've
on,
been working on.
potential.
Yep.
There's no cost, it's just,
Yeah.
you're in a study, you're in a process right now.
So is somebody gonna email me what they want on it?
Sure.
Somebody.
And then
I'll work with David on that.
Tuesday, you guys can let me know if the radio study was approved, and then I can kick Land going to get
I
started.
don't see any problem with that at all. But we'll let you know in the future.
Okay.
So the town meeting's Monday, so obviously we need to get that probably by the end of this week, right? Any information that needs to go on there, which is tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll give it to him tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. It's not gonna be, it's not gonna be elaborate, believe me.
Yeah, just, it will take a day to get this printed and mounted. So,
All right,
So
I'll
we'll do that
talk
on
to,
Monday.
I'll talk to David in the morning.
what time does it need to be there?
7,
Do you have an easel?
yeah.
I have one too. So,
Yeah, just have Lauren bring her easel. Right, is that it?
Just the last thing I want to touch on was schedule. In terms of that original schedule we had put together, and see, I know we're not moving towards a town meeting. We're gonna have a special town meeting
Mhm.
for this vote.
Yep.
So, that is helpful, and I don't think we should let a number or a design, back us into a bad number. I think we should spend the time to make sure we're all comfortable where this project is. I don't wanna delay it, but I also don't
Right.
wanna speed it up to where we're uncomfortable. We had being done with DD in the middle of November.
yeah, which is not gonna happen.
Yeah, we're pushing off that, but I don't think that's a big issue here, because
But
again,
maybe we can begin
sure,
design development by
Right.
November 1st, let's say, once you have all your information, hopefully that's.
sure, we were planning to be out to bid, after the holidays. And, I still think we could hit, early, late spring, or maybe early summer, so,
Probably early summer, yeah.
just to give everybody an
So
update
we're
of
not
where we
that,
are.
we're off
We're
enough.
probably off a month.
A month, that's what I'm gonna say, we're not that off, so that's okay.
Yeah.
We need to go on vacation.
You wanna make sure it's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
anything out there if it's not right. You're just putting that out, you're not putting that out, correct?
I wouldn't put the plans.
No.
Good, don't put the
I would just
plans.
put conceptual
When they-
in a nice image.
My
Yeah.
fear is they're gonna go right to the gym. They're gonna say, what do you mean they're building a gym?
Yeah, that's always something that comes up.
Maybe when we do that, since we're gonna be, as the
That's what I'm
association,
saying.
filling it itself, we just leave it as a blank room.
I agree
Yeah.
with you, that needs to come out,
And we'll know
because
what it's
people
for.
need to know
Oh, yeah. Oh,
if
yeah.
they,
Right.
that you guys are
Yeah.
paying for that.
That's right, and just leave it as a, put a
Space.
big storage room or something like that, and we'll do that
Right.
later.
Or you could
Yeah,
call it police
church use.
association.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's,
Police
Yep.
association, whatever, yeah.
Multi-use room, multi-purpose.
Agree. Okay, is that it? Anything else? All right. Motion from the committee to.
Motion to adjourn?
Second, anybody second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.